Welcome back to our podcast chat. Today, we're going to be covering the next phase of the Expat Group where Expat Plumbing, Expat AC kind of came together. We've covered my story, how we started the business, Josh's story, how he joined the business and helped create it into what it is. But there was a massive part of our sort of business where it was a bit troubling at times, but it was certainly the right thing to do in joining together. But it was quite a challenge at times, wasn't it? But yeah, before we get too businessy and serious, how you doing? You right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think we've had a nice little break the other week, didn't we? And came back to it, and been a few little issues since we've been back. But
well, we say break. We're about 8 days on, I think, and I've just got my recovery back into the 80s.
Yeah,
so I'm buzzing. I've gone from 3% to 80%. So yeah,
it was nice to get away.
Yeah, it was good. And as you just said, we should be comfortable now. This is like our fourth chat now, isn't it? But still feel a bit nervous, even though we chat about all these things all the time, don't you?
It's the first 5 minutes for me. Yeah. Like once you then get into the chat, it then goes away. But
okay, well, if you're listening, skip 5 minutes and then join in.
Yeah. We'll be sorted by then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as I say, like obviously, it was nice for me to reminisce about that first initial setup and relive some of those memories, good, bad, challenging, positive, successful, and likewise to hear your side as well from setting up. Obviously, it's a story that we kind of know, but there's sort of certain emotions and things that go with it that we weren't, familiar with. So it was really good to chat. Obviously, like the next part of it is where, for me, I felt that we had to go from tradesman to almost businessman. And I don't really like labeling myself as a businessman because one, I'm not, and two, I'm definitely not. So it's kind of like that weird phase that we had where we had to be like, right, we're turning over some decent money. I think at the time when we joined, it was like over £1 million. So for a tradesman to be doing that, to then turn it into like a proper business where we've grouped together and, very professional from the inside and get all our processes right. It was quite challenging mentally as well to sort of like switch into that zone. Can you even remember the first time that we once said, do you know what, we should probably group together here because we're a little bit separated?
I can't remember the exact time. I remember it happening like the previous podcast, we sort of got to the end of that first year, and moving forward from there into sort of year one into year two, that for me was the year when for me certainly, and I know you was already there, it was like, right, we've got something here. But I think during that period, there was definitely points of that I felt that we were growing apart. Not in terms of going our own separate way, but I was doing my thing with the plumbing. My financial interest was with that.
Because you had your clients and I had my clients.
Exactly.
But it was sort of two entities.
Yeah. And we were running it with the best interests of each other. However, there was so many times when I had somebody ringing me, oh, can you come and service my AC? Oh, no, you need to, contact Expat AC and this is their number. And it was almost like, for me, I'm passing work to another business, but we're all in it together.
And even worse, when I had experiences where I was on a job and there was a plumbing team doing the tank clean while we're doing an AC duct clean or something like that. I'm like, we could have done that. And they're like, really? You do plumbing? We're like, yeah, we got Expat Plumbing, Expat AC, like, we can do it. They're like, oh, right.
And people didn't know about us. And I think it was something that we did say so many times to each other, probably between that, like, I don't know, I'd say 18 months after I started and up to sort of 2.5 years in, we said, God, we should really start thinking about coming together. And I just don't think any of us knew what to do or how to do it.
We didn't. I can remember us saying we need to do it probably a million times within that sort of 9-month period. And then we were kind of like, but how? Because we've got this AC division that's doing X amount of revenue, and then we've got this plumbing division that's doing X amount of revenue, but that they weren't the same. They didn't match up. If it was like 50-50, it would have been so easy to have been like, well, yeah, we'll just join. But because there was like a differential in what each part or division was bringing in, it was kind of like, well, it's not a 50-50 partnership. How do we do this? I think we spoke to some clients as well that had successful businesses to try and get their idea, and all of them were saying the same. Yeah, you need to group together.
And I think it just got to that point where it was like, we had just spoke about it for so long, and I still remember us two now sat in the clubhouse at JGE, and we just said, right, let's do this.
Yeah,
let's put it down on paper and see what we come up with. Are we somewhere near each other? Like I knew it would involve some sort of money interaction from my side, because as you said, the plumbing wasn't at the size of the AC, not through any fault of its own, but AC in Dubai is always going to be bigger. You'd been going 18 months longer than me. It was natural. If it was 50-50, we could have just merged it together and done it. But there was that, and I think that was probably the hard part, was finding the middle ground of, if you spat a number out and I was like, oh God, Jesus, then I'm going to do that. That could have then just rebounded and we would have gone back to our own ways. But I think I was aware of what it would take to get to that point of us partnering, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it. And I think when we started talking, it was quite clear quite quickly that we were on similar pages.
Yeah, we were very transparent in the conversations from the very beginning, and anything we thought, we vocalised. So I think we both knew exactly where we were. But I mean, to touch on there, our conversation at JG, I think people thought our office was JG at that point.
For a long time.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time there, and we were working, regardless of what people may think, we were definitely working. But I mean, if you remember back at that time as well, we did have the office that we have now, but I think it was more or less empty.
Yeah, we was using it for a visa quota at the time. I remember it. And we didn't, I think you originally signed it and then maybe put a desk in it and then maybe went there once or twice a year. I'd never seen it, I don't think, or maybe seen it once when we first got it. And it was just used for a purpose of getting visas. And
that desk that was in the office, I think we both shared for a little while. Both of us sat at a desk together.
We did. And I was chatting to Ellie about this last night when we was talking about this podcast today. And she said, do you remember when you and Paul used to come in and sit on the desk together? And she said, do you remember that old like chair that I used to sit on that was creaking? And for like 6 to 8 months, we did the same thing. And we were both working on our iPads in there.
Oh, no.
And like the whole of the Expat Group was just there. It was me, you, Ellie and Karen. And that was it. We were in there.
And what people don't realise is that when there's no one else in the office, we go back and sit on that desk together, don't we?
Yeah.
Just because we just miss it.
We do now in our office. We share the same desk. Yeah. But I think that going back to that point of when we figured it out, it was such a clear conversation that I think the first time we actually sat down and spoke about it, by the end of the conversation, we kind of knew what it would take to get there. And if I remember correctly, I agreed fairly quickly to say, like, I think that's about where I am.
Yeah.
And I took it away, ran through it with some people, you know, my dad and some friends. And it was kind of like, yeah, I think this is a good opportunity and I'm happy with this. You're happy with this. And it was done. Like, we'd spoke about it for so long, but when we actually crunched the numbers and got it done, it was over pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I was obviously looking to get some sort of reward for setting up the business, you joining in. I'm giving up some equity in the business as well. So obviously I need to be remunerated for that. But at the same time, I was kind of like, this is a big investment for Josh here as well. And I think just because we were almost like mates as well at that time as well, rather than business partners. And I can even remember, and I think I told you at the time as well, I certainly said to Laura, I was like, I really want this to happen, but do you know what I'm really worried about? I know Josh wants to propose to Ellie, and he's just about to make a massive, massive step into this business and a big commitment. And it's almost like I don't want to delay that happiness for him. So it was a real like heart over head situation as well. Like I felt like in here that I was like, shit, I'm really like delaying Josh here.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, like Ellie has now been proposed to and we are engaged. But yeah, at the time, like she's so good that she knew that the decision was being made for the right reasons. And she wasn't pushy with that as it was. So that made it a lot easier for me.
I was thinking if she knew, like, she's going to hate me.
Fortunately she didn't. Like she was cool with it. Like she knew that it was for us and our future and it was what was needed to be done. It was a great opportunity. And that was fine. I think the second time when it happened a bit earlier again this year and we had to postpone it again, I kind of felt like, okay, now it's getting...
Now she really hates me.
I need to get it done soon. And then,
do you want to marry Paul? Or come on.
Yeah, because it's all going Paul's way at the moment. But yeah, like it was, you know, what was needed to be done. And I think it was a great opportunity and we needed it as well, both of us, because I think we were on a very, very sort of, I don't know, I don't think we could have carried on another year doing what we were doing because I think it would have been a detriment to the business. But let's go so I remember that June 2023, it was actually the back end of May that we agreed it. And we said, we'll start this on the 1st of June. I still remember it to this day. Do you remember what happened during that sort of initial few months after it? Because there's some key points for me that I remember from partnering up and, you know, me using the proceeds of a house sale in the UK that was mine and Ellie's house to invest and put all my money back in again, which was becoming a normal thing at the moment. It was like make money, reinvest, and that was a big deal for me. It was the most amount of money I'd ever invested in anything, but also showed my confidence in it. But immediately afterwards, for me, there was not a lot of emotion in it. And it taught me a big lesson. But I think there were some key points for me in that period. I don't know if there was for you in that initial 3 months after. It was like, right, we're now business partners. What does this mean?
Yeah.
What do we do? What changes? Like, does anything happen on June the 1st? Like, for me, it didn't. And I think I still remember that first month, I was still working, going to do plumbing jobs all day, every day. And we actually sat down and had to get a plan put together to phase me out of that, because
I
it's
was
like,
trying desperately to get you off the tools, because as you say, we're going to be business partners here. I was sort of full-time running a business, and now we're partnered up. I need you to come and help me now, because you say about the emotions and stuff like that. For me, I'd given up a stake of the business, and in my mind, and both of our minds actually, to be fair, we were like, right, we now need to make this bigger because we are together, we can do more. My stake's gone down in the business, yours has gone up. We now need to make this beneficial. You can recoup your investment. I can then recoup the equity that I've lost. I can make up in proceeds from the business as we grow bigger. So for me, it was like a real, I don't know, it was like my mind was like refreshed, and it was almost like I was starting a business again. I was like, right, we're going to reinvest here. We're going to make the team bigger. And we're going to really set this up into a proper operation now. And I mean, it sounds so silly, but I can remember at the time, again, sat in JGE, we're like, right, we need a telephone number now for a landline. Right, we need to get a landline. Right, okay, we should probably get a full-time accountant now. We're outsourcing that sort of stuff. So I think immediately when we joined, we were like, right, we need to probably employ about 10 engineers. We need to buy about 5 vehicles. We need to get a full-time accountant. We need to get more customer service. We need to get the landline set up. We need an 800 number. And it was kind of like this massive, massive thing that we had to do. And then we realized that we also need to rebrand, which was huge.
And that was actually a year after we partnered, wasn't it? That was 2024, summer 2024. And I think we'd spent that initial 12 months from that June the 1st of the day we started as partners, building the office out, and that came with its own difficulties, desks, staff in the office, changing people that were working from home.
Actually, do you know what? I just remembered. Do you remember? That was June, but do you remember it took us up to November? And I remember this clearly because November is obviously the DP World, the golf, and we were down there. And Mark Pearson's brother, Nathan, came over and we were chatting to him. And he took his business, I think it was off his father, wasn't he? He took his business off from turning over 250K to turning over 10 million pounds. So we were like, this guy's been through where we sort of felt we were at, and we didn't know whether do we heavily invest in like the office and the processes without the revenue coming in, or do we go and just get loads of engineers and get loads of work doing, but then can't deal with it in the office? And I mean, I think we all knew the answer, but I remember walking around the golf and just chewing his ear off, both of us. I think we were either side of him, just going at him, trying to get all this information. But I remember that was really reassuring. And I think that gave us the confidence to be like, yeah, we need to build out the office, as you say, and get that staff in there, get our process and procedures correct. So when the work starts to come in, we can deal with it really professionally.
Yeah. And I think that was so important for us to have somebody like Nate that we could, without even knowing or setting anything up to, we're just chatting to him whilst we're walking around the golf, like asking the questions that we needed some clarity or answers on, because this always goes back to the fact that me and you are tradesmen from
and
school.
so was Nathan as well, which it all about what he had done really resonated, didn't it? And so his advice was invaluable at the time. I can remember knowing that he was coming over and thinking, I'm going to chew his ear off when he's at the golf. He probably didn't know. We made it out like casual, like, oh, walking around, oh, Nate, by the way. But already I had all these questions lined up for him.
Yeah, and it's so crucial. Like, I think, it's not like even one of us was been in business before or grown a business before. All we know was for you to fix AC and me was plumbing. That's all we'd ever done. And suddenly you're now thrown in at the deep end, like, right, okay, now we're building this business out. Like you said, where do we start? What do we do first? We know what needed to be done, but there was stuff needed to be done in all areas of the business. What do we focus on? Because I think for me and you as well, like, it seems like the impossible mountain to climb, and you need to know what to focus on first. And that conversation, which was in that November, was so crucial for us that we then did we put a load of money into the office. We got a load of staff in, and it's just I'm thinking around the office now, like all the things that we had to buy for the office that you don't even think about.
Looking back, I think we made that change really quickly. And also, as you say then about reinvesting, it's, I don't know, when you're running the business, I think we touched on this previously, where you can say that when you're running a business, you can have the most money you've ever had one moment and the least you've ever had the next moment. As I mentioned earlier, we were turning over some really decent money, more than I'd ever seen in my life. And all of a sudden, couldn't have any of it because I had to put it all back into the business. Not had to, wanted to, I should say. And that was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like the seriousness that we were taking it was emphasized by the way that we put so much money back into the business. Like we literally didn't take any money out in that period, stuck it all back in that year to get that foundation right. And I think, you know, I think we need to take a little bit of credit for that, because I remember at the time we were looking at other companies, one of which has gone bust since, which is really, really unfortunate because they were good, but, you know, perhaps there was unfortunate circumstances. However, we looked at them and they were cutting around in these brand new, I think it was like a Ranger Raptor or something like that. We went down to Ford and sat in these trucks and we're like, yeah, these are a bit all right. That's what they're doing. That's what we need to do. And I can remember sat at home, I'd already got home and I was on the phone to you for about an hour and we're talking about these trucks. Should we get them? Should we get them? How much they cost? What should we do? How can we pay for them? How do we justify it? We need a company vehicle. And I think we realized, actually, just slow down a minute. We have to put this bulk of money back into the business. So we didn't buy fancy trucks or anything like that. We put it all back into the business to then create this foundation. But I do remember it's tough. Like as you're building a business, you start to see this money come in. You think, oh, cool. What can I buy? What can I do with it? But actually, we realised that partnering, that refresh mentality, rebranding as well to make something really serious and professional. We needed to put it back in, and I'm so pleased that we had each other to like rebound those ideas and those crazy thoughts off of, because it just brought us back in line. I thought, no, this is the right thing to do, and I think we carry that on now. We have conversations about doing stuff and being able to chat and rebound it off each other. We can get that levelness. I dare say that I'm probably the one that will be like, this is a great idea, we should do it now. Why don't we buy that? Why don't we do that? I mean, I'm like it in my personal life. And you're like, yeah, that's good. Let's have a look at it. I'm like, oh, okay.
100%.
I need it.
I think that's like, for me, from that day, that first day when I reinvested the money into the business, and then it was the discipline then to say, personally, right, away from the business, right, I need to recoup that money. I need to recoup that money because that's gone now. But then on the business side of it, to be like, no, we need to take all that money and reinvest it into the company, because then looking down the line in 2 years' time, that's going to pay, way more dividends to us as a business than to go and spend the money now on silly things like company vehicles. Hence why I'm still cutting about in the same truck that I got when I bought here. When I moved here, because it's just not necessary at the moment. For me, like the business and the growth of the business is more important. Like that sort of stuff. And we've touched on it before. That will all come eventually. But I think, as you said, the way we work as well is that I take 6 years to decide anything when it comes to spending money. You take 6 seconds to make a decision on something.
Yeah,
and it works well, because sometimes I need that push to actually do something, especially when it comes to investing in something or something good for the business. But then equally, you probably need me to slow you down a little bit when there's a decision on getting 2 brand new Ford Ranger pickup trucks.
Well, the software that we implemented, for example, that is awesome. I spoke to one company and was like, yeah, that'll do. That's cool. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, let's do that one. You took the time to look at sort of 6 or 7. And not only that, then play around with each of them, see which one worked best. And that process took a long time. I did not have the patience to go through all that. You did, and you got the right one. And we use it now and it's fantastic. So that was a real good example of that, as you say there, where you can actually analyze it. And I think that's where we work well.
Yeah. I think it does complement. We do complement each other in that aspect. And so going forwards, then from that point, so we were like, after we partnered, we spent the first 6 months up until that Christmas, around November, chatting to Nathan, then going into the sort of January of 2024. This would have been start of last year. We then had a bit of a clearer vision on what we wanted to do. And I think by that point, we'd already changed so much and implemented a lot.
We had all the process procedures. Yeah. We had the office staff. We were starting to get new engineers on board. I think pretty much doubled in size in about 6 or 7 months, hadn't we?
Yeah.
And our revenue reflected that after the first year that we'd been together. We'd doubled what we'd done. And I mean, that was, it was just proof that grouping together at that time was absolutely the right thing to do, because it made us more solid as a company. We were able to brand correctly so that everyone knew that we facilitated plumbing, electrical, AC, drinking water solutions, villa filtration, everything was all under one place, one contact.
And that was the key point, the one contact. Like, as I said, there was times when we'd get each other, people phoning each other for other trades, and we'd have to pass each other off to one another, and that comes with its own complications. But to have a central hub, which is what we always refer to it as, a central hub, a central number that was picked up for everything and then dealt with internally, was such a big deal for us. And then going into the summer of that, approaching the first year of us partnering together, which is when we did the rebrand. I remember still from that point when I was on holiday in Thailand when we had the meeting with the creator. Well, I love it there. And he presented to us 3 or 4 designs, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the whole time he was presenting them to us, I knew straight away which one I wanted. And I didn't like any of the others at all in any capacity. And I saw the one that I wanted, and that was the one. The whole time he was talking, I just thought, oh my God, I hope Paul's on the same page as me here. And I was waiting until the end. And then he said, is there one that sticks out for you? And you said option 1, and I said option 1 as well. And it was just like, that's it. It was done.
Yeah.
And
I recall some of the other designs that they had for that branding. I remember one of them looked like a recycling company.
Waste
I
management.
think it was. So there was a few funky designs out there, wasn't there? But yeah, certainly the one that we chose. I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. And I think it was such a key event although it happened like a year after we partnered together. For me, that was like the sort of, that signified us being together now. Like, this is Expat Group, the rebrand. We're all under one roof now. This is our business. It's no more Josh and Paul doing separate things. We are together, and this is our company. We've got all of these guys, all of these vans. This is our staff in the office. And I think at that point, that's probably the first time I started to look at the company as like, wow, look at what we've done in the last year. This is really cool. And I think moving forward then, we had a great sort of springboard effect off of that. And then it was like, right, now we need to invest a little bit more money in, get some more teams on the road, get some more vans going. And then also we put quite a lot of money into making the office look nice for our staff. And I think at the time for us, that was quite a big thing because, we're
dartboard was a great shout, by the way.
It was probably the best investment so far. Like the walls and floor have taken a battering, but it was good. It was good. I think like now you walk in the office, and it's really nice place to work. And I'm so glad that we spent the money on that for our team in the office to come to a nice place to work, have, the chill out area with a sofa and the TV. And we've got our office where, we can not do a lot and talk to each other about stuff all the time. But yeah, I think that was then, I think now, like I don't know about you, but when people come to the office and see us like friends or things like that, like you actually want them to come and, they can come into the office. And I think a lot of times people are surprised that like, it's actually quite a nice place to be. And there's a nice sort of environment in there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess home maintenance isn't the most glamorous thing, is it? So I think when people come to the office, they're sort of expecting just to see just junk everywhere. There is a little bit of junk in the store area, but when you come into the office, I think people are pleasantly surprised that it's actually a really nice place to come into and relax if you want, work if you want, play tasks if you want, nice coffee as well. So yeah, it's good. I'm pleased with it. I mean, I think personally I needed something like that as well, because there's no way that I could just go in and look at 4 blank walls all day. Like absolutely no chance.
No, I think that's something that really stood out for me. And I think like looking back now on, I mean, we're sort of 2.5 years on from when we did do the initial partnership. Like when you look back at what we have done in that 2 and a bit years, we never ever stop, as we always say, stop and think and look back at what we did until we sort of have a catch up and a chat like this. Yeah. But I think going from where we were 2.5 years ago and the position we were in to where we are now, we've done a lot. And, we have reinvested in the company heavily. Like I think we always put the company first, always. Yeah. And I think that's a very good trait that me and you have, and it's discipline. And I think that discipline comes from the early days of, not knowing what's around the corner. Are we going to get work? What's coming up next month? Have I got a big cost coming up? You've always got to stay disciplined on what you're doing next. And
is someone going to try and nick 5 of our vans? Is someone going to peel the stickers off of our vans?
Do you remember?
All that sort of stuff, yeah.
In the car park?
Yeah.
Like that was...
Absolute joke.
We've got to tell the story, but there was one day when it wasn't even that long ago. We was in the office.
It was really, really fortunate that Ryan happened to walk out the office when he did. And he called me up. He's like, have you sold some of these vehicles? We're like, no, they're new. And he was like, oh, right. A couple of them are on the back of a flatbed. Emirates Auction had taken them. We're like, what?
Yeah. And
run downstairs, and true as he said, they're taking our vehicles.
And
mate. What are we doing?
There was a plan to take more as well.
Yeah.
And we still had to pay the luxury of almost 1,000 dirhams to release one because it was half on the back of an Emirates Auction pickup truck and the case had been started.
Yeah, you literally couldn't make it up. I still don't know why they were going to take it, to be honest.
I don't.
But yeah, you couldn't make it up. I think there was like 4 of our vehicles, I think, sat there. Like, I think some of them have been rebranded, some of them have been sprayed, some of them hadn't. And potentially because they've been sat there for a couple of days or something, but it's in our office car park. Just pull up and we'll take them away, lads.
No notice,
Unreal.
no warning, nothing at all.
Unbelievable. It's so lucky that Ryan walked out when he did, because if we had come out of the office at 5:30 and been like, where's all our cars? Like, we literally wouldn't have known.
It'd have been, I wouldn't
madness.
know. I wouldn't even know where you would have gone or what you would have done. You'd have maybe had to ring the police and give the plate numbers, but that's if we could remember the plate numbers.
Someone's stolen 2 pickup trucks and 5 vans.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's the sort of challenges that you got to laugh at and just overcome. I mean, Dubai is a wonderful place, and it's a strange place at times. And this was just one of them examples that, as a business owner, these are the sort of things that can just pop up like that.
I think
it's crazy.
You deal with these issues at the time, and you never really they just become normal. As you know, as a business owner, you never know what's next.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to crop up next, and it can be anything. And I think when these things happen, they're not really a surprise because you don't really expect anything anymore. Like anything can happen, and it just crops up as an issue, and you just deal with it. And then you talk to somebody you know, and you're like, oh yeah, this happened the other day. And they're like, what? Yeah. That happened? And you're like, yeah. Oh, and it's kind of like, oh no, that isn't normal. That's not normal. That's just one of the challenges we face.
You just got to laugh though, haven't you? I mean, it was literally last night that someone's peeled off some stickers off our van to make some of the words look weird. I mean, I wish they'd been more inventive and actually peeled off some of the letters to, I don't know, spell out something obscene or something. That would have been quite funny, but it was just random letters peeled off. Cheers, lads. Right. Disrupts our day today. We've got to go down and get the van re-sign written.
And I think, like I say, I don't think anything surprises us anymore. What happens in a day of work. And I dare say that's probably what keeps us going a lot of the time is that every day is different. There is no day that is ever the same as the day before.
100%.
And you just have to keep on showing up and putting things right.
Yeah. So from that, like grouping up, moving on, expanding the office, expanding the engineers, building the business. From when we did that, it was about 2.5 years ago, as you say, we've kind of more or less tripled our revenue, tripled the size of the business. Obviously, there is plans for us to keep expanding and dealing with the demand that we have, which is really good still, even with that expansion. I think even this year, it was like about 40% that we expanded, and we're still just about keeping our head above water with the demand that we have without even heavily advertising. So it's still that plan to like expand and grow into the future. But I mean, I think what we want to do on maybe some future episodes as well is maybe get some other business owners, and we have some people in mind as well that got some really cool stories about how they've done a similar thing. They've come over to Dubai, potentially worked for somebody else first, and then created something on their own and gone through all these similar sort of challenges and everything that comes with starting a business. And they're really successful now. So I think it'd be really interesting for us to have some chats with people like that as well. It may even provoke some more stories from our side of similarities. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool to get some people on. Like I say, I've got a couple of people in mind that I really want to get on.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from like people that have been through similar things. Like you said, either moved here to start something, moved here doing a job, and then fell into something, starting a business themselves, or saw a gap in the market and started something. You know, especially starting it on your own, it's tough, and you know more than anyone how tough it is.
And I think there's possibly a misconception from people that may be watching this, whether they're in Dubai or out of Dubai, that you move here and you fall into a job, or you accidentally start a business and you start making loads of money. It's not the case at all. There's so much that goes on, and these people that have set up these individual businesses, they go through so much. They put themselves through so much. They sacrifice so much to achieve something, and I think it's really, really valuable for those stories to be told. And hopefully, it will inspire someone else, or if someone else is going through it, it will motivate them as well to be like, yeah, look, I need to keep pushing through here. This is pretty normal that that this is hard work to do. And I mean, as I always sort of think, if something's hard work, it's usually worthwhile doing.
100%. It's nothing worth having comes easy. Like, I'm a great believer in that saying. And I think the speaking about it to other people that are either behind you, at the same level as you, in front of you, is so good, because you get a perspective on, well, they've been through what I'm going through and they've come out the other side. That will give me motivation to keep going. Or, you know, God, I'm still nowhere compared to where they are. That's going to get me motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
And I think it is so important to talk about it and hear from, you know, other stories. It really will benefit someone in some way. Like you said, whether it's
100%.
motivation for one person or motivation for the other, it really will.
Yeah. So, I mean, to wrap it up from like where we are now, sort of going through the stories we have from both of our stories, grouping up to where we are today, would you say that we are a success of where we are now, or would you say that's still yet to come? Because I think at all of these points that we've discussed previously, it's all been a kind of journey, and we're kind of at somewhere, but I don't feel like we're nowhere near the potential of what we could achieve. However, it has been, for me, a success of where we are now. We've been a healthy business for 6 years with all the challenges, with all the changes that we've made, but there's still so much more to come.
I think if I look back to where I was when we first met, and in those first few months of starting a business, if somebody said to me in 5 years' time, this is where you'll be, I'd have said, not a chance. No way. And if they said, if you got there, would you be happy? I would have said, yeah, 100%. But I think the type of people that me and you are, you're never happy.
Now that goal keeps changing.
No, I mean, I'm not saying happy as in unhappy, but I'm more saying you're never content. There's always something more. There's always another target. There's always another goal. And as we said on a previous chat,
New Year's Eve
last year, when we hit our revenue target for the year, that was completely unachievable to us, and we factored in that it wasn't possible. We didn't think it was done, and we did it.
It was literally the last invoice that went in that ticked us over what that target was, wasn't it?
We didn't celebrate. We didn't fist bump each other. We just said, "Oh, that's cool. What's next year?
What do we do next year then?" I can remember being stood at the whiteboard where we had our targets and plans written out, and then I think you had the laptop open and the last invoice had just gone in from accounts, and it was like, we ticked over, and it was like, oh sweet, and I wiped it off the board and went, right, what do we put for next year then?
Yeah, and I don't think being, like I said, it's not that you're not happy, it's not that you're not content, but there's always something you can do more of, or you can always do something better, or you can always grow bigger, or, you know, there's never a point where, and I think if you were satisfied with where you are, you kind of get content, and then you kind of like lose passion.
Complacent, yeah.
And that's it. And I think it's just the type of people we are. You just always keep going. And looking back, we're a success on what we've done in 5 years. Like, going from being a one-man band to running a business is great. And yes, that is a success, but it's not successful in the way of I'm done. Like, there's so much more to do, and we're still both young. Like, I think there's so much more that we can focus on. Well, me more so than you.
Sometimes. Don't feel like it after 6 days in Thailand, that's for sure. Jeez.
Or 5 days in the office.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's never going to be a point where we say, we're content, we're successful, we're happy. You just keep on going. You keep on going through, and even when you feel that you've maybe done what you can do with one, your interests look onto something else.
Yeah.
And then you'll want to start another business or branch off and do a different division or something else. And I just think you keep going through life like that.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad trait. I think it's really important to have that drive. And me and you always, drive each other on as well. If one of us is having a bad week or whatever, the other one will pick it up and we'll keep on going. And I think, again, that's where we work well together. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think going back to it, we'll just keep on pushing. We've got plans for the future. I'm really enjoying like where we are and where we're going at the moment. Touching on your point there, when people look at us maybe and what we're doing, and I think a lot of the time some people think that we might be having it off, but running a business is hard. It's hard work, and it comes with its stresses, and those stresses you don't always see.
I'm sure both of our partners will vouch for that.
It's not always stress you see 9 to 5 in the office. There's stuff that happens at night. Me and you have been out 10 o'clock at night on a certain job doing a certain thing. Together there, getting us out of a problem.
Yep.
And that's what it takes to run it. But we don't shout about it. There's been situations even recently where I've found myself in that's been tough. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you carry on going again. And it's just resilience. And I think we'll just keep going as we are and keep growing and keep looking to the future.
That's it, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, as I said, I've got a couple of people in mind, or we both have, that we want to get on the podcast and have a chat. But if there's anyone else listening now that wants to get in touch and come on and have a chat about how perhaps you started your business, tell your story, drop us a message, and we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, and we're not podcasters at all, so don't be worried about coming on because we don't know what we're doing.
We might look really, really professional, but
I
we
think
are
so.
winging this a little bit.
I've been told we look it, but yeah, we're not.
Well, my sister said you came across like a professional host. In fact,
Well, maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm in the wrong trade. Then I might hang the tools up for good.
Yeah, possibly.
We'll see.
Let's see.
Anyway,
Right,
we'll wrap it up there,
one.
and see you on the next one. Thanks.
Cheers.